3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, everybody. It's almost a new year. New year definitely goes into this, but yeah, we're gonna do year in review this week. It'll be cool. So, but just want to let everybody know, we are going to be taking on YouTube a little more seriously or whatever. So we're looking to everybody to, if you're listening on Spotify or anywhere else, also go check us out on YouTube. Trying to hit some hour goals and some subscriber goals. So yeah, we would appreciate a little bit of help.
That's right. Yeah, YouTube subscribers will be greatly appreciated. All our interviews will be featured on there as well as some other things, and most of the, if not all, the audio versions of the podcast. And yeah, so we're gonna be putting more like shorts and stuff on there, and just different things. So yeah, people seem to be viewing it on there already, so we're just gonna kind of focus on that for a little bit.
Yeah, so we'll be doing content for everything, obviously, but yeah, you'll see some stuff pop up there, and I'm going to try to do some edits so that basically the full pods will be available. There'll only probably be sections that they want me to cut out or whatever,
right? Or
I'll do something, whatever their issue is, I'll try to get around it as best as possible, but maybe I'll just do some quick edits and stuff like that. So look out for that stuff, and yeah, so like and subscribe on there. I hate saying that out loud necessarily, but really like the YouTube thing because it's available to everybody then. So yeah, so like and subscribe that, check that out too. So yeah, so we'll have, and the other thing is we'll have some other stuff we'll talk about at the end of the podcast kind of coming up on there as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but so we're just going to go back over our year, talk about some cool stuff, some highlights and whatever. And
yeah,
just kind of bring it home for the year. And then of course we've got Steve Bays coming up in the next pod. So that'll be a good start to our year, and then see where we go from there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. If you don't know who Steve Bays is, he was the lead man for Hot Hot Heat.
Yeah, excellent band,
and great producer, and just a guy I'm looking forward to chatting up here on the podcast. And the year was 1985. Yeah,
baby, I'm excited about it. It's going to be good. He seems like a real cool dude, so that'll be fun, and it'll be fun to talk music and stuff like that with him. Yeah. So it'll be a real good start to the new year. So yeah, and like I said, we got some cool stuff coming up, and we've got some new cool gear, and who knows what we're going to be up to. So look out for some interesting stuff coming up, following along in the next year or so. So yeah, we'll go over some cool stuff here in the end of the podcast, but we'll start off the year in review with where we started our year, I guess. So I guess we're filming this technically on the anniversary of us starting to use video, technically speaking. But so our first one of the year, we did Shooting the Shit. So this is kind of like, in terms of the podcast, I think this is kind of where we were a little bit busy, both of us. And sometimes it's hard. It's only the two of us. So I think this is kind of like from January-ish to around April or so, like we kind of figured out what our next step was going to be. We kind of did just like whatever we were doing kind of thing, whatever we come up with that week. So there's a bunch of Shooting the Shit stuff in here. A couple of the year was kind of thing. So like, it's just picking on years and what went on those years. There's some good pods in there. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I mean.
We had some ideas that we still needed to get out there, like for podcast wise. We still had some podcast ideas that we had already thought of and stuff we need to go. We went over like a superhero podcast. We went over another one where we just recommended things, music and stuff like that. A lot of probably Royal Republic was probably
big on the list,
on high on both of our lists.
Oh yeah, playing a lot of that and stuff like that for sure.
And then we had a homegrown episode as well, episode 26.
Yeah, and that went really well. Like that was that seemed to go over well. And that was a fun episode to do. And I got to kind of show off some stuff that I worked on with some people at home, so that was kind of cool too. Yeah, there's like I said, there's some really good pods in there. I'm not saying there's bad, but that's not what I mean. It was just we were kind of, I think, trying to figure out what we were trying to do. So it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of different topics
Because
and variety of things that we were trying to figure out.
Because video was new, this whole setup was kind of new at that time, so we were kind of just excited about just having a place to kind of shoot, literally, the shit.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and this is kind of the transition to this place as well, kind of thing. Like we're
Right.
trying to. This is pretty much when we've started everything, because I think we only recorded a couple audios in here. I think in the beginning when we first came from the old place into
Yeah.
here, I think we only did a few. It wasn't many. It was probably 4 or 5, and then we were like, well, why don't we try to do a video? So we tested, I think, a couple times along the way just to see
messing around with
kind of what
Twitch
it,
and
yeah,
stuff.
just to see what it kind of looked like and whatever. And then we were like, well, fuck it, let's do a Christmas episode, and that'll be our first one or whatever. So that kind of was cool. And then, like I said, we were kind of from there. Then we did like last types episodes, similar idea, like what we're doing now. We're kind of shooting some pods, putting them up later. And then on the way back, of course, we get into shooting the shit. You know, you want to do some superhero stuff because that was kind of big at that time. There were some cool movies that came out around that time. I think like it was some Marvel movies and stuff that were coming out around that time. Homegrown. There's 4 episodes of shooting the shit between then and April. But the thing is, some of the, like, those are good too because they're just kind of random and fun. But we did kind of figure out, and I think this is kind of what we were trying to figure out, was like, okay, how do we take these topics and then have people to speak to about them?
Yeah.
I think was kind of what we were up to. So as much as it's fun to sit here and shoot shit with you,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool to have some guests on and stuff like that. So then,
Next level.
yeah, so next level. So of course, first thing we were like, okay, and not in any bad way, but we're like, okay, well, let's do like a test run with somebody that we know.
Just so everything we can
Test the
figure
hardware.
if it actually works, if we can actually
Yeah.
figure out to make it work.
Yeah, because like we can only test it so much between us or whatever. So we did that, and I mean, thanks to our buddy John Kennedy for being our first podcast,
Right.
technically speaking. So that was pretty sweet, and it was a cool episode too. We did
Episode 36.
episode 36, yeah, April 3rd. So that was like our first guest pod. So that was interesting to do, and it looks way different in that. Like if you look at the video of that compared to where it is now, looks way different. The setup is a little different. Then we of course got some what would you recommend. We did a Silverchair review, which of course ties into our David Bottrell episode, kind of like a little bit of foreshadowing. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, check that one out too, episode 71 and episode 38. So those are cool podcasts to look at or whatever. So we went through the whole catalog, and that's something that we were trying as well, like doing catalogs and kind of doing little, like an hour and a half
That's
to
right.
2 hour deep dives kind of thing. But it was pretty cool to talk to David about that. That was pretty cool too. Of course, get into Shooting Shit Volume 4. So this is around playoff time and stuff, which we were kind of picking on sports and a few other things. Then we kind of got into so we did our first interview with Tommy Car Carver. Excellent guest, excellent dude. We had a huge, like almost another 2 hour chat with him afterwards,
Right.
which is
Yeah.
a like behind the scenes thing or whatever. I didn't put that in the podcast. Obviously, that was kind of like it was more of a business, not in a businessy way, but it was like a business conversation kind of thing. It was like a business hype up situation or whatever. He was kind of like showing us his stuff and how he does his thing or whatever. So that was cool. And shout out to Tommy, doing really well. Involved with Rapper Cards. He's a card artist. He's on episode 41. So check that out as well. Cool pod. Super nervous, of course, to even interview anybody.
Yeah, I mean
And that was the first one that we've ever done.
He's got a great community that
Yeah.
he kind of holds him up and pretty in high regard, right? So
Yeah.
with with you being in the card community as well and stuff like that, it was kind of neat to get to know Tommy, and he was definitely pretty cool to meet, right? And
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
his artwork is great. Like his cards are awesome. Kind of they have that tie in with us at the kind of at the time or whatever, even to this day, I guess, to that 90s
Yeah,
kind
for
of.
sure. And his art is cool. Like, it
Right,
just is
to
cool.
kind of throw back to all these things that we love. You know what I mean? He kind of ties it into his artwork, so it was great to have him on.
Yeah, that was a cool pod. I really enjoyed that pod. Then we did, so then we got into What's the Beef? Where's the beef?
Little Drake and Kendrick kind of beef, right? So
yeah, so that was the start of the beef. So of course we had to discuss that, which like that's old school to us too, right? Like
we talked a little about Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac as well and stuff in there, I'm sure. But
oh yeah, guaranteed. Yeah,
and
so that was a good pod too. That was fun, right? So like I say, now we're starting to catch now we're kind of on track again. Like we kind of got it figured out here now.
And we had people booked, right? We had a few guests booked at the time, and the next one,
big pod, big banger pod,
ended up being the top podcast.
Yeah, episode 43. Colin Holland is best kind
of the year.
Yeah, so that was our most listened to podcast of the year.
So shout out to Colin Holland for sure. That's great.
Yeah, thanks for having a wicked chat because there's 2 hour or there's an hour and 50 minutes, I think. Or no, that's what I got left. So it's 3 hour pod.
Our longest pod, actually.
Yeah, it is our longest pod and most watched pod. So that's interesting. So that's cool. But yeah, that was a wicked pod. Super good conversation. Colin's wicked. Got to meet him, of course. We went to Best Con Comedy Tour. Of course, we were trying to promote with that forum or whatever, trying to help him out. I mean, not that I need it, but
exactly.
It was a
great, cool sold out show anyway,
promote.
right? So
yeah, so that was wicked, and wicked to show up at a sold out show and had a little chat with him after and stuff like that. So it was cool to meet him in person.
Fucking front row,
can look him right in the face. I think he
got spit on at one point. Actually,
yeah, he's got a little lubed up there, but so that was real fun. Like that was a good time, and too, of course, that was a real good time at the comedy show. Like Boz are wicked, yeah. So. Really cool pod. Check that one out. Episode 43. Keep it the most watched. It's cool to see people from home winning that race. So that's cool. I think obviously that's a lot of support from home. So that's cool. Thoroughly enjoy that. And then we got into G-pop. So we were both. Yeah. So we've kind of thrust ourselves into a bunch of shit at once.
Right. May was a busy month for us.
May was a busy month then. Yeah. So we did G-pop Culture Fair, so that's a local event that goes on once every 6 months or so. We did that, and we of course did 3 live interviews, which something that like you haven't really done a whole lot of live,
no,
anything really when it comes to stuff like that or whatever.
Never.
So
no background at all, but
not a bit. And I mean, not that I've done a whole lot of interviews. I've played in bands, but it's different. But yeah, so we did that. So we had Mike Moman, Dustin Archibald, and Chris. I can't pronounce his last name. I'm sorry, Chris. But so we had those guys on. We did interviews with those guys. And then we did tie it off with Blaine, who is the creator of G-pop. So that was cool. That was a fun experience. Something that we both, like I said, we both really never done, and having to do it on our own was a little different. And I did go this year. You didn't have time this year. We were working and stuff, but I did go and I did some interviews. So I do have a pod. I'll probably piece that together now due to things that have come up in the last few days or whatever. So I'll probably just piece that together. Yeah. I'll make a short and probably put it together in a long format and put it up on YouTube. So that'll be one of the
great YouTube content.
Yeah, so that'll be good YouTube deal, right? So. Yeah, so we'll put that one up on YouTube. So look out for that. So that'll be one of the treats kind of thing for YouTube. So we're kind of trying to treat everybody because most content's going to be available obviously on Spotify. I still want to keep the YouTube content because we're pushing YouTube. So trying to make a couple of cool things for that. So that'll probably be one of the cool things in light of some news or whatever that we've gotten in the recent days or whatever. So yeah, so we'll do that. Then of course we get into another shooting the shit because I think we're preparing again to try to line up some guests again, right? So we're trying to catch our footing here.
We had a little hot streak this summer.
Yeah, so it was we're revving up here now too, right? We're starting to rev here now because this is when we kind of like, okay, we can do this. Like, it's cool. Like, this can work. We can, and we both had to agree to it. Like, it's our podcast, right? So we both had to agree, okay, because it's approach now. So our approach is now essentially guest, obviously, right? Like it's kind of the approach or whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that was the right move. I think that's a great, cool thing to do. Great experience. I mean, meeting new people, and hey, if they're leading towards the more famous side, That's really cool.
That's cooler.
I mean, we're gonna try. We're gonna try to.
Yeah. So, and it's cool to pull in a bunch of people, right? So, something else we're going to lean into a little bit coming into the new year is going to be highlighting local stuff. I think we're going to try, as much as we're just kind of rolling into getting connections and stuff like that. We're going to try to highlight some local shit and stuff like that. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I think still that is still going to be a part of us who like still feature things from our area and people who are local to here or in the province and even or local to back where we grew up or wherever. I mean, we're still gonna get guests from all walks of life on here.
Yeah,
but,
I think so.
We're gonna not have any steered in any one direction. We're probably gonna get a little different flavors from everything. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, so it'll be an interesting. And who knows what the next year holds for the Near's 1985 podcast around here. But rolling forward, of course, then we get into like we're doing some favorite stuff. So like we do have some series. Like if you go through, like we do have favorite series. What would you recommend? What's in the box? So there's a bunch of different lost tapes. So lost tapes are the after show kind of thing or whatever. Yeah, so we generally speaking, it's like us. We did a pod, and then we sit down and we just kind of do another pod or whatever, shoot the shit basically, but in a different way. It's funnier and stuff like that. It's like 3 hours usually of chaos, but there's a bunch of those in there and stuff like that.
A lot of pulling stuff up on
a lot of pulling up stuff. A lot of pulling it up, so Jamie.
It's great to watch on Spotify.
Yeah, check those out on
for
Spotify.
The full thing. We can't necessarily show those on YouTube, so
yeah,
that's the kind of Spotify perk.
Although to be fair, most of them have passed the YouTube test that way. Like there was a few they didn't, but most of them have. Like the majority of them, there's 63 videos up, I think, or something like that. So it's 10 flagged videos or whatever, say 10 or 11 flagged videos. So that's not too bad.
That's not too shabby.
That's not too bad. No, we're considering. But so then we do, like I said, we get into a couple series things or whatever. But then we get into who was technically our first booked guest was John G.
Mr. John G.
And he's a huge supporter of the pod. He's a rad dude. He got some cool stuff, and he does some cool interviews himself. So check him out. Also check out our podcast, which was episode 48. So meet our friend John G. He's cool. He's like he's escalated. It seems like he seems like he started around a similar time as us, or at least when he got on our radar was around the same size community. So that was pretty cool. But he's had some pretty cool success himself, and he's interviewed some pretty cool people, and he's based out of Toronto, so he gets a little bit more kind of like face time with people and stuff like that usually. But yeah, I mean, like he had a dude from S Club on the other day, and he has lots of like more current artists on and stuff like that. So that's cool. Yeah, that was a cool pod. That was different for us because it was like another content creator, but in a different way because he kind of does social media content versus podcast content and stuff like that.
Yeah, and in some sort of way, kind of an inspiration to where we were kind of going. We were seeing what he was doing with the interviews and stuff, and thought he was doing a great job. And thought, well, why not us? Why not? We kind of throw those lines out there and maybe hook on to some of these guests or artists and stuff like that. So
yeah,
we kept on trucking through.
So then we started to line up like a bunch of people in a row here now. So like, of course, we had our friend Adam Keogh on from Ancestral Roots Wellness, based out of Bishop Falls, Newfoundland. Check him out, episode 49. Excellent episode. It's totally different than anything anybody we've ever had on in terms of content and topic and stuff like that. So
very informative, very super insightful.
Yeah.
Health is very important. So
yeah, Adam's a real cool dude too, and his wife is really nice. Like they're both very nice, sweet people. Truly out to help you. Right. They're not out to be sneaky or whatever. But yeah, check them out. Check out the podcast, and then check them out if you're in Bishops. Go down and do some sound baths or whatever they got going on, some little retreats and stuff like that. So yeah, check those guys out. Also check them out on Instagram or whatever. Give them a follow if that's your vibe or whatever. I know if I go home and something's available, I'll definitely be checking it out. So yeah, you guys can do that too. Then we get into Ryan G, which was his first appearance on the pod. So we had him on. So he's local 97.7 Rock daytime radio host, I guess, like Evening Drive or whatever you want to say, kind of thing. Starts at 2, ends at 7 or whatever, I think.
Yeah.
So he does the Evening Drive. Good guest, super good guest. I mean, he's a radio guy. That's super cool. And we've run into him now a bunch of times and hung out with him a couple times. He's a really, really nice dude. We'll probably have he'll be another guest that we'll have on coming up here in the new year, I would imagine. I've already spoke to him a little bit about that. So he'll also be part of a potential featurette that will be part of the YouTube stuff that you can get that we'll talk about at the end of the pod here when we get back around to the what are we doing segment kind of thing.
We have a lot in common with him and stuff like that, and he's been a great community supporter as well.
And big supporter of the pod.
And big supporter of the podcast. And he's had us on the radio several times as well. And we must mention that.
Yeah, he throws up some cool clips and stuff like that. So he's featured like a couple Bill Welichka clips. He did a little phone call thing. Shane Connery Volk from One Bad Son and
the phone
Matt
call,
Cave and stuff like that. So did a little phone call, a couple other little ditties or whatever. There's a couple that I didn't even hear and a couple that I didn't catch or whatever. But yeah, big supporter. So shout out Ryan G. Shout out to 97.7 too. They do share our stuff and like our stuff and whatever too. So appreciate the support, especially from a local radio station.
Yeah, the best radio station in Grand Prairie.
100. It's the only one that's programmed into my truck thing.
It's the only one that's on.
It's the only one that's on. But yeah, shout out to the boys there. They've treated us well. So look out for a potential little featurette on some stuff. We'll have him back on the pod, and then we got a little project that we're potentially working on here that includes him as a kind of thing. So then
the next pod we had probably the biggest banger and the biggest probably dream fulfilled. You know,
at this moment we could have shut her down in a way. You know what I mean? Like it's like okay, well I got to talk to Bill Welichka. Right. It's like that was pretty sick. So I don't know, like, how do you feel about that? Because like this is, and I don't mean to take away from anybody else. It's not my point, but Bill Welichka is like a hero of ours, technically speaking, right? So it's a little bit different than the other guests in that kind of regard. So to us, it was like, holy shit, we're talking to like a movie star.
Well, I think just because we had so many hours watched,
yeah, buddy.
You know, so many days and nights and evenings and weekends watching him on Much Music.
Yeah,
and we kind of grew up with that kind of on in the background of our lives, right? So and I got his book probably 6 months or so before the idea of even reaching out to him became a thing. So to get to read his book and then like, say, why not? Let's just reach out to him, and he got back to us, and sure enough, he was a guest on our podcast, so that was freaking awesome.
Yeah, it was. Polish it off at one of them, but yeah, no, that was exciting, and of course, then I mean, like I bought the book like to read it because of course now it's like official. Like the point was to read the book anyway. I already had it sitting there in my Kindle thing or whatever, so I was like, okay, gotta look through this, take some notes. It's the most research I've done on anybody course, like leading into the podcasting. But that was a really cool pod, and like I mean, he was super nice, and it went awesome, and so that's like at this juncture, was our finest piece of work.
I think so. I think it's a great podcast to kind of showcase where we were heading, and it's great to see the pod progress so much in the time it did from January until this came out in July. So
like this is not quite. It's like what 4.5, 5 months later kind of thing. So that's pretty sick, really. Wait, if you go back and listen to like the pre-Christmas episode, even like they're not bad. Like they're just different. So we just don't know what we're doing yet.
They're all different. Even go back to 1 and 2, but those were really 1, 2,
different.
3, like
really different.
3,
Totally
4, 5, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, every 10 episodes it's different kind of thing.
Pretty much.
It's always evolving. We're trying to do something different all the time, I guess. But
That's
but
progression.
but it's progression, right? So that's fun.
Progression, yes.
But it's really fun to do something different all the time, anyway. But Bill was a really awesome guest, and just like he was so nice about everything. And I mean, he didn't have to speak to us as long as you know what I mean, like in that kind of way. So it was really it was cool,
and
it was a cool experience.
If I'm ever in Kingston, Ontario,
know who I'm hitting up for a beer.
going for a pint.
Yes, sir. I'll be hitting them up for sure. You never know. You never know what the next year could bring.
Hey.
Who knows? Who knows?
Bring the pod on the road.
Yeah, man. Who knows? We got the gear. We can do it.
Traveling podberries.
Traveling podberries. Well, we're doing that.
On the road again.
Yeah, well, that's going to happen now. So we're doing that.
Oh, boy.
But, that was fun. That was really fun to speak to him. And then, of course, we did our year one review because 100, like it was our actual official 1 year
Since the start.
of the podcast. So that was fun, like that, and it was interesting, of course, because like we're going back to the start of the podcast,
Right.
which was a little different. So that was a fun episode to do. It's cool to look back and see where it started, even though it's not really been super long, but it's a lot of work. Like we put a lot into it. So it's cool to look back at it and see what happened.
Yeah, it's a big improvement. I think we've come a long way. Maybe that's the part of 1 year reviews. You get to see where you came from. So it's pretty fun. That was cool. It was cool to look back at that point because I felt like we were kind of starting to find our footing. You know what I mean? Like, okay, we kind of got at least a base idea of what it's going to be most of the time, kind of thing, right? So we kind of got that under which was Slick or whatever. So that was cool. So then we had another episode of Jonathan Kennedy came back on the pod for round two.
So so we came back. We chatted about films.
He had his music video he had just done with Fog Lake. Yeah. So we chatted about that a little bit, and then we kind of got into some filmmaking stuff and whatever. So it's like an hour and a half chat of like I'm filmmaking and some of the stuff that he's done, and of course we had him on once, so we kind of went over his previous work or whatever, and he kind of chatted about where he's going next. But check him out. He's got a couple, his website and stuff like that. So JonathanKennedy.com. Check that all out, and or net. I'm not sure.
I can't remember. You have to check out the notes. But anyway, it's episode 53. Check out the notes.
Cool.
He's a longtime friend. Like we've known him for years. I've known him for freaking years. Since we were little kids. So, check out his work. Super cool filmmaker.
JohnKennedy.net.
.net. Yeah, should have known. But check out his work. Does real cool stuff if you're in the kind of probably the Ontario area, I guess.
That's right.
Check him out. Especially if you're looking for someone to probably shoot your I think he's into doing music videos, short films, that kind of stuff. You're looking for some advice, help. I'm sure he'd be more than down.
Absolutely.
So look him up. So then we move on. So I'm kind of ironic that we're talking about it now, but we just seen Shane Connery-Volk from One Bad Son.
Hey,
so he was our next guest.
That's right.
So he's episode 54. So we just ran into him, of course, at One Bad Son show.
We did indeed run into him.
So that was cool, and that was cool too. Real nice dude. That was fun. Got to shoot shit with him for a few minutes before and after, kind of thing. But real cool to see. Cool, good old fashioned rock and roll band, tearing their own gear down, doing their own merch.
Yeah,
like the whole deal. Sick. Good for them, man. It was wicked.
Yeah,
love it.
They're true musicians, absolutely, and they put on a great rock and roll show. So anyone, I don't know when this will be out.
So this one will be out just as the tour ends, probably. But
okay.
They did a little Alberta tour kind of thing, or whatever, Alberta Saskatchewan tour kind of thing.
That's right. So
actually, it'll come out to like the day before the last show, I think.
Right.
But
check out One Bad Son on Spotify, and check out Shane Connery-Volk at Mad Cave Studios. He's one hell of a comic book artist.
That's right,
and he's doing great with that.
Yeah, and that's nice. So I think he's released the third or fourth book of Prairie Gods. Just came out today, the day we're filming it. So it comes out, or no, yesterday. So it would have been December 11th. So that's out now. Check that out. yeah, man, if you're in the entertainment business, check out Kurt. If you're looking for audio stuff, show stuff, check out Ryan.
That's right.
If you like sick guitar players and awesome people, check out Tara. If you like metal music, check her out in Kitty. If you like country music, check her out in the country band she's in. I can't remember what the name is right now, but check her out in that.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think they're doing, it seems like they're working on music with the new lineup. So look out for them. I would say probably coming up in the summer, you'll probably see them on tour again and doing some stuff or whatever, by the sounds of
Nice.
what everybody was discussing. So yeah, check that out. Also check out End Years 1985 episode 54. Check that
Right.
out.
Because he was a great guest.
Super
on the
good
pod.
guest. Yeah, that was a great interview.
54. Yeah, it was one of my favorites as well.
Yeah, that was a really, really good pod because we went for about an hour and 20 minutes or something like that. Super good pod. Super good, nice guy. Went super good.
And by this time too, I think we'd already nailed kind of the audio video aspect of it. But
yeah, now we
But
cut
I
up.
think, like I said, like back to that Tommy one. I think we had a little issues
We had
with
a little
the
flub.
audio.
We had a little flub on our end. So when we would speak, it was doubled because we were trying to flange up away, or I was anyway. I thought it would be more comfortable for. We had a bit of a situation with the angling, like the way we were looking at, so that kind of was funny.
Yeah.
So I was trying to figure out a way that we could use two cameras, but I didn't realize the camera added a microphone, so we ended up with a double audio on our end. So every time we would speak, it would be like two people talking. Wasn't horrible, like wasn't super horrible, but it was kind of like shit. First try,
Yeah.
shit.
I mean, it was definitely a learning experience, and every day is a learning experience. Every week is a learning experience on this podcast.
100%. So the thing that is with that now is like, so now we know, right? That was one of the things now we know every time I double check for that. I know the reason why now, you know what I mean? So that comes with, and for anybody who's like watching this, who wants to start or has recently started one and is finding it difficult, and then there's a lot of, we started too. So like, don't let that stuff discourage you. If you got something good, but it does, and I understand that the sound thing potentially will hurt you or whatever, but if the content is good, regardless, it'll be fine. And you learn something.
That's right.
So for people that are looking to get into this or whatever, don't worry about that shit. So we moved on from there, and then we get better from there.
Keep on trucking.
And I mean, look at us now.
Look at us. Keeping
Look
on.
at us in this
keeping
room.
on.
I'll put on the back behind the scenes. So in that corner there, that camera, you can kind of see the lights. So just one of our new lights. We only recently just got this stuff. We got these new beautiful cameras. Like this stuff is literally, we just got it today.
That's right.
So it takes a year and a half to get anything really rolling here. So yeah, everybody go try something. Don't worry about that shit. It's fine.
Just put something out every week. Just
Put something out.
Something
Get
out
it out there. And the thing is, once you get it nailed down, you won't have that issue again. You just won't. And unless something funny goes on, updates or something, but it won't happen again necessarily. But then we roll into, so now we're rolling. We're on a bunch of guests here. Like we're on a hot streak. We're not even even like September yet. We got all these guests. So then we roll into Patrick O'Dell.
Patrick O'Dell.
And I'm going to tell you right now, man, we got to get him back on again.
I hope to God, please.
Yeah, Patrick, if you're listening, we'd love to have you back on again because you've done another bunch of cool stuff since the last time we talked to you again. Like you got a book.
Yeah, but I think that's the one. That's one of the ones where I kind of I'd like to do or have a redo because I just felt so like, oh my God, like I can't believe I'm talking to this person.
I was pretty.
I know it's not good to say here on the pod, but you know what I mean.
No, I agree. I was 100% in the same position. Like I almost felt like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like I was like, holy shit! Like I can't believe I'm because he's a legend. If you know skateboarding, he's a legend. And so it was almost like I can't even believe he would, let alone we're talking to him.
Yeah, it's like
So I'd like to do it again, and because I think now, and I mean that's part of doing this. I think is that anyway. But
I think it'd be great too.
But I would like to speak to him because he's put out a new book. He's done a bunch of new stuff. He got a little. There's a new documentary. Like there's a bunch of cool shit out now. So it would be really fun. So we'll reach out anyway. We'll see what his deal is. He probably will come on. he said it was the most comfortable podcast he's ever done.
Nice.
After we were done filming, I have the clip, but I'm not
That's
putting
great.
it on the internet because it's just for me and you.
That's great. That would be
But that was
great to
cool.
have him on again. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Legend, dude, legend.
Just watching his epically later today with I watched the episode with Muska and stuff like that. Like that was like what 2007 or 8 or that was a long time ago that they had those
Early
they've been doing
2010s.
those episodes for a long time. Like
Yeah, and I don't know. If you're a skate person, like there's some legendary shit in there. Like some of that stuff is really sick. Yeah, so that was cool. That was a really slick pod. Check that one out, episode 55. We're definitely both nervous in that podcast, and you can definitely tell. But that's what happened, and it's awesome. It's fine. But yeah, like I say, we'll try to have him on maybe come up again sometime in the summer, spring, summer kind of thing, maybe. Then, of course, now we're trying to work our way through the Much Music alumni course. Rick Campanelli comes on,
big time
guest. That to me, it's one of the top interviews we've done of the year.
And
To
I
me,
think,
anyway. And I don't mean that at like star power
Right,
or whatever.
right,
That's not
right.
what I mean. We got. I feel like there's points where we got some real deal, like Rick Campanelli in there. You know what I mean? Like there were some real moments in there. I think.
That's another one of my personal favorites as well. I think he you know, I probably should have been more nervous for that one, maybe, but I wasn't because I felt like I was more prepared for that one.
Yes. Yeah.
I think I'm just so familiar with him, and I think I was maybe focusing a little more towards his stuff in the weeks prior to filming and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So maybe the other guests didn't get as much, and that's time. I only have so much time, right?
Well, that's how it
So-
goes, right? Like, I mean, we don't get paid to do the podcast, so like, you know, you only get certain things pan out different certain weeks, right? So like, there's times you get more, and the thing is about certain guests too, especially like a Rick Campanelli. I mean, we've been watching Rick since we were kids. Like, we just know, we already know tons of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's different that way.
Yeah. But even still, just trying to be well prepared and stuff like that. So it was a great episode, and I think definitely one that everyone should at least have checked out once.
Yeah, check that one
And
out.
maybe check it out 2 times.
Yeah, you might get something the second time around.
Maybe.
Really good podcast. So episode 56, check that out. So then we meet with Mark Cole from Shed Life. He's got a feature
Throw
every
up
week.
on this cam over here.
See here.
we
Gotta
have it on
switch. Can I see? Move your
Life.
head. Yeah, there he is. Shed Life. So check him out especially if you're from home. Does wicked hats. We're not wearing them. We should be wearing them, I guess, but we don't have them on right now. But yeah, just wicked hats, shirts, tees, beanies,
Hoodies,
friggin'
yeah.
hoodies, whatever. Look him up on Instagram. Give him a message. Check out his profile.
Tell him we sent you.
Tell him we sent you, and he'll fucking send you some stuff. He's right on.
Yeah.
Super cool dude.
Shed Life.
Did a sick podcast from his father-in-law's shed right around the bay on Starlink, so that was pretty fun. That was cool.
Yeah.
I like that. I thought that was very fitting.
Definitely it's, a lot of good stories and memories of time spent in the shed and hanging out with friends and family and stuff, and definitely a great podcast. And he's got a lot of great gear and stuff, and a lot of great clothing, merch, and stuff like that. So check out their Instagram, Shed Lifestyle on Instagram.
Yeah, check him out. And then so then we get the second returning guest. The return of
second
Ryan
return.
Returnee Ryan G.
Ryan G.
So yeah, we had him back on and just kind of chatted music, growing up '90s. He was just hanging outside the camper, doing his thing.
Got his press pass for UFC.
Talking about that too. Yeah. So he headed out and did that, and then I know recently he's done another one of those. So super plug again to Ryan G. Thanks for all the support as always.
That's right. Rock 97.7 Rock.
Grand Prairie.
Grand
You
Prairie.
can find them on
Putting us on the map.
iHeartRadio as well, and there's a Canadian radio app you can find them on as well. Listen to them. Does the Day Show for drive home. You might even hear us on there. You never know.
Yeah, that's right.
Who knows? Who knows?
Who friggin' knows?
And then the return of
Alex Mead.
So Alex, if you're newer to the pod and you haven't gone back to the beginning, Alex was one of the co-hosts in the beginning.
That's right.
He was technically the very first guest on the podcast.
He was numero 2 episode.
He's on episode 2, which is crazy to say now that we're at episode 75 or whatever this is going to be.
Episode 2.
So like that's pretty crazy. So yeah, Alex came back and just had a big chat.
And we had him in studio.
And we had him in studio very first and only
studio.
in studio guest.
That's right.
Which maybe, I don't know, it's up to you technically at your house, but maybe that'll potentially be a thing.
I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, depending on the guests and stuff, that makes sense. Obviously, you're in town, it makes a bit more sense.
I'll just like message people, hey, do you want to come over to my house?
Want to come to my house
and talk for an hour?
while I film you?
Oh, God.
That's creepy.
Absolutely not.
Film you from this camera right here. Right
Or
over.
this camera.
Or this camera right
You
here.
get a camera.
Or
You get a
this-
camera.
Everybody gets a camera.
That's right.
That's funny. But yeah, so that was cool to have him back. It was really cool because, of course, he became busy with life and whatever. Same premise, doesn't get paid to do any of this stuff. So he had to kind of dip out or whatever from the pod kind of thing. And then, but it was really cool to catch up with him. And it's cool for him to see what we were up to now and stuff like that and actually be here versus getting beamed in from the internet. It's pretty
That's
sick.
right.
So that's sick.
Great time catching up with Alex.
Super fun. So then we roll into, we're getting close on to, we had to take a break here somewhere along the way. I think we went on vacation or something along the way here because we had to do a Lost Tapes episode. But before that, we had Brian Tobin. So Brian is also a podcaster from Newfoundland. What is it called? I want to get it proper. Brian
Tobin Tonight.
Tobin Tonight. That's right. So check him out. He's also he had a bunch of really good Canadian guests on his podcast.
And he's had some really good guests in general. I think he's had people like John Stamos, Bob Saget before he passed away. Actually.
Yeah.
He got into podcasting and stuff during COVID and stuff, I think.
Yeah, he's
got a broadcasting
5 years
background, unlike us.
Unlike us.
But yeah, he's doing his thing. It's a great podcast. He's on a little bit of a break right now. I don't know when they're good.
Yeah, I don't know
When he's going to come back, but yeah, check out Tobin Tonight on
check him
YouTube and Spotify, and
yeah, it's cool.
all the other
Cool local guy to check out.
places.
Features some cool stuff. Check him out wherever you get your
Yeah,
podcasts.
buddy.
So then we get into our June Roy. So he's a local legend. Also, like, went to Berkeley, worked for Berkeley, produced some cool stuff. Now works out of Northwestern Polytechnic studio here in town, kind of looking after that, directing that, getting that studio going. He's also been working with local artists out of there.
Great, doing a lot of great work with local
Super,
artists.
yeah.
McKindred and Hey Driver.
Yeah, and what else is there? There's a couple new things that he's been working on. Some like heavier stuff and whatever.
Yeah,
so he's got.
I mean, he's a metalhead at
He's a little bit of a metal guy himself. Don't let the scarf fool you. He's and he's right on. I actually got a chance to run down the other day for 20 minutes, half an hour, and peek around the studio and check out the gear and check out what he's up to down there. So that was cool. Arjun's a rad dude. Like I say, really, well versed in music.
Absolutely.
He's got a really slick background. Done some cool stuff. So yeah, so if you're in town, you're looking for like an awesome producer, engineer, mixer, whatever you're looking for, check out Arjun. He's got a website. You can check him out there. Check him out on Instagram. All of the links are on there. But yeah, super nice dude. Also a potential part of a featurette or the featurette type of thing that we're going to be doing for YouTube that we'll talk about a little bit at the end. So that'll be cool too. So I'm looking forward to, you'll probably see him pop up in some stuff, I think, coming up here. I think he's going to be someone that we'll probably end up working with a couple times here coming up. So that's pretty sick. So then we finally fucking got Nick Sexton on.
That's right.
Oh no, we didn't. I
we
skipped
got-
ahead. I rolled one
rolled
too many
too
clicks.
far.
I got too far. One too many clicks too far.
Got in the spooky
So
season.
then we get into spooky season. Yeah, I rolled past it. I clicked the button one too many times. So then we had Lindsay Janes on. Sorry. Then we got we did Spooky
Lindsay
Weekend
James of Disturbing the Peace
podcast. Awesome podcast if you're into true crime. So we did a double header with her. So we did week 1, week 2. So that was the first week of October, second week of October kind of thing. So yeah, we just talked about some our favorite movies, favorite music, true crime, kind of more Halloween oriented, kind of slashery kind of stuff.
Halloween
oriented.
memories and stuff.
A couple memories, yeah. And she's a little bit younger than us, so it was different perspective. She's from a different town, so that was kind of interesting to see her perspective on that. Yeah, it was just kind of like a lighthearted, fun rundown of Halloween. It was cool, and it was nice to spend 2 weeks doing some podcast with someone that's a local podcaster. So she just released a couple new pods in the last couple of weeks too. I know she'll be taking a little Christmas break. She does a lot of research, and her podcast is a whole different
Very
animal.
well.
Yeah, very well put together, and it's a whole different animal than us. And she's kind of more in telling you stories and narrating almost in a way and stuff like that stuff. So really cool. But she's been featured in some cool stuff. She's on M3M Studios podcast as well. Shout out to them as well. They just put out a new podcast, so they're featuring local people too. So if you're local to Grand Prairie, check that podcast out. They're on YouTube and Spotify and stuff. So check those guys out. That was pretty cool. But yeah, that was a sweet way to do get into spooky week here, or spooky month, I guess technically for us. So then we finally got Nick and Sean Dalton on. So that was our first double guest episode.
Nick Sexton and Sean Dalton. Yeah, those are two great guests that were really busy guys who finally had the time to come and chat us up for an hour or so or two or whatever it was. We had a few issues with our Microsoft Teams at the time because of, we had, like I said, multiple people on the stream at one time, and we found out later that is what was the problem.
Yes, sir.
With one person, it's kind of unlimited time. With two people, it's limited
so
to
much.
an hour. So, sorry about that.
Yeah, so that was, so we had to do a little editing and whatever, but that was a wicked podcast. Guys are awesome. Same thing. They're, from Newfoundland. Sean's, background is kind of music. And he's been in the Trues.
The Trues. I mean,
played Big Sugar, a couple other big bands. And
pretty
stuff.
much like all the best songs the Trues have. Like,
he's on the bangers.
He's on the bangers.
So, so check him out. And then, of course, Nick, legendary
Nick Sexton,
dude from St. John's.
Great director of multiple movies now, and it was kind of promoting the new movie Skeet, which is kind of doing its thing right now. And then he's just that was a great conversation to have. So
yeah, it was really cool to chat with him. And then of course, like, even and it's funny because I thought we would chat a lot more about the film and all that, but it was kind of just a good chat.
Just talked about whatever.
Talking to the homies kind of thing was cool. And film is awesome as always. We still haven't had a chance to see it because it's not in our area kind of thing yet. But super, super cool to talk to the guys about their work. And that was a cool podcast. And we tried to get them on for a long time. It was kind of like a lot of back and forth for 6 months probably.
Yeah.
It was a lot of back and forth going on there. So it was cool to finally get them on. And
just had to be.
And they just got over
patient.
some cool recognition and stuff, which was good. So it was cool to talk to them.
They were at Toronto International Film Festival and Atlantic International Film Festival and stuff like that, and won some awards. And so we know they were busy, but we just wanted to make sure
we had to make sure we had to get them on. That's all. We just wanted them on.
We still want you on the pod here now, guys.
Yeah, so that was cool to have those guys on. Really cool chat. So check that one out. So that's episode 55. So that was a really cool chat. So then we did our Halloween episode. So same, don't need to get too crazy. That was Halloween episode. But it was fun. We have a lot of fun at the Halloween
We got in
episode.
costumes, so it was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. We always have a bit of fun with that. So check that out if you're a Halloween person. Then we had our friend Joel Martin. Joel Martin. I always fool it up.
Excuse you.
Squeeze-moi. Sorry, Joel. Joel Martin. So yeah, man, that was a good pod. His pod is awesome. I will give him credit.
Joel Martin
that dude
Mastery.
does some awesome pods. Yeah, so he kind of led us in a inspirational direction as well, because it was cool to see him kind of start to rise up from, you know what I mean? You can kind of see people poke out from the algorithm or whatever you want to say. So it was cool to see that, because he was kind of a supporter of ours. He started, kind of getting on our radar pretty early as well. So he was an excellent podcast guest, of course, because, I mean, he does his own podcast. So that was really slick.
Well, yeah, I thought it was interesting too. I thought it was kind of neat. I mean, it was like he reached out to us because he has a connection with 1985. It was the year he was born as well, and we were like, oh yeah, cool. And then we kind of like were watching each other's stuff. It's like, oh
yeah.
It's like, and we asked him to be on our podcast, and he was like, nobody's ever asked me to be on a podcast before. So it's like, all right, well, we're asking
on the podcast.
We're going to be on.
Yeah, we weren't his first one because somebody kind of beat us to the timeline thing or whatever, because we had
once
some
he
other people
announced
going.
that, then someone else was like, "Oh, you want to be on my podcast?"
Yeah, you want to be on mine or what? But that's fine. I mean, that's here nor there. I'm not jealous at all. But no, it
Here
does.
nor there.
I mean, that's whatever, right? It is what it is. But it was a really good podcast, really fun, because I mean, he's super knowledgeable. Number one, very much in our wheelhouse. Canadian. Ticks a lot of boxes. Same age, all the same things. So that was a really slick podcast. Check that one out. This is episode 67 of the podcast.
Wow.
I know, hey? We're climbing to 100 here. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll be there by the 68.
Yeah, around 68.
So then we get into a deep dive.
Yeah, we're getting to it. Soon be 100 though.
Yeah, it's crazy.
When did you think that is? Sometime.
So
in
25 weeks, so it's half a year. So it'll be
Dang.
July or whatever.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that neighborhood. Somewhere in July.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Maybe like somewhere. I can't remember. I have to look at it again, but I have it somewhere on a note actually.
Oh,
what
right.
pod it will be, but it's I think it's July. I want to say July month. So we did we did a 2-hour deep dive into Tragically Hip, and that's basically based on the fact that they put out a new documentary series and stuff like that. So we watched the series, we checked out some old stuff. And then we just basically went through the whole. We kind of followed the Tragically Hip timeline, I guess, but I followed the timeline of the 4-part documentary series. Kind of how I wrote my notes out or whatever kind of thing.
Yeah. No Dress Rehearsal.
No Dress Rehearsal. Yeah,
great Amazon Prime documentary.
Yeah, really good.
Anyone should check out, but anyone who's Canadian, I think they have to kind of feel obligated to check it out. I think they should for sure. It's worth checking out.
A lot of cool stuff in there that I didn't know.
Yeah,
I'll say that. And not that I'm like I say, I don't follow every single thing that they do, but like I definitely follow enough. Like I'm definitely very well versed in music history, but there's a ton of stuff in there that I didn't know about. Yeah, it was slick. And then we got a little teaser, I think, of that with the Bill Welichka episode, because he was involved in certain footage and stuff like that with the guys.
That's
so
right.
I think we got a little teaser at the time. He was trying not to let the cat out of the bag, but it was.
He did mention that Gord
some
Downey's
stuff.
brother Mark was up to something. He was making a documentary,
and he was kind of helping the boys out, or whatever you want to say, fumbling around with some footage and stuff like that. So
a lot of unseen.
And I don't think
footage.
he fully meant to say it out loud, but he committed already, and he just kept talking about it. So that was slick. So that was pretty cool too. So that was it seems like every time we talk to somebody, we've kind of got a little bit of a little scoop. So that was pretty slick. So that was cool. And then it was cool to do the review and stuff like that.
That's right. Because Shane gave us an inside scoop as well about their tour that was coming around that we went to see, and that was kind of announced on our podcast. So
yeah, and then they took it to the radio.
That's right.
First on the list.
First on the list.
That was pretty slick. Yeah, so that was cool. So then we get into Matt Wells. So this is fairly recent. Like, so now we're into November, right? So we're getting we're almost caught up here now.
Almost caught up.
So
Matt Wells, great guest.
Super great guest. My mother, as my mother would say, or my mother did say, I guess, or whatever, was what a great Newfoundlander. That was her first. She didn't say anything about the episode. She just said Matt Wells is a great Newfoundlander. That was the first thing I woke up to the next morning. So I thought that was a cool comment. Right, I thought that was cool. And he like I will say, he represents well. I like that. But it was a really sick conversation. Like, I mean, we seen Matt in concert with Buck Truck when we were 14, or whatever, somewhere in that neighborhood.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
to catch up with him, whatever, 20 years later kind of thing, or whatever it was.
Yeah,
like,
to
20
kind of
years.
loosely follow kind of his career through
Yeah.
through music and Bucket Truck to turning into a much music career to turning into to TV or to TV movies and movies as well. Like it's
Yeah.
really cool to see, and it's
Yeah.
was a great opportunity to talk to him, and it was great to meet him and kind of shoot the shit, and hopefully, maybe you never know, down the road have him back on again.
Yeah, it was cool. I think it was funny that the first thing that we kind of talked about, like, first thing he says, like, you guys are from Newfoundland. Do you guys miss it? I thought that was interesting.
Okay.
Starter for some reason. Like, I just thought that was I don't know. It's an interesting way to start the conversation for some reason. Like,
Definitely.
it's not that part's
thought-provoking.
not in the podcast. It's a little like this is a snippet outside of the
Oh, okay,
podcast
yeah.
kind of thing. But it's like first when we kind of got everything going or whatever. Like, I thought that was you could tell he like sympathized with that or whatever. Like,
right.
you know what I mean? So that's a pretty cool way to start. Yeah, he was a really cool guest and really cool dude, and super thankful for him to come on. And again, another Much Music box tick alumni, whatever, right?
That's right.
So that was pretty cool too. So, and of course, being from Newfoundland puts a little cherry on it too. So that was pretty cool. And then so episode 70. So this was like episode 70. Crazy to say that out loud even. So this was kind of like election week. We had the Tyson Jake Paul fight. There was some other stuff going on, so we kind of just reviewed that. Won't get too crazy in that because I'll start talking about how fake that fight was. But just a fun episode, kind of thing, something different because we've had a bunch of guests and whatever. So we figured we would break it up with something a little different for everybody. So then in the last couple weeks now, so now we're catching ourselves up to where we are, kind of thing. The end of the year. Look at us now. Look at us now. So episode 71. Super honored.
Oh, dude.
Man, what are we talking about? Like, still can't believe it sometimes. Like, I think about it, I'm like, man, I got to talk to this man.
Big time
Guest. And it's not to take away from anybody else, but if you know, you know, kind of thing, I guess, is one of those things. Dave Bottrell, what a guest.
Mm-hmm.
Super thankful. I mean, he talked to us for what, about hour and 25 minutes kind of thing, hour and 35 minutes or something like that. So we got an hour and 10-minute podcast kind of thing. But super nice dude.
Yeah.
Answering all my dumb questions.
Genuine,
about stupid shit.
genuine guy. Very nice. And
Yeah, it was nice that he was a genuine. And not that I didn't expect that. That's not what I mean. But sometimes when you meet people that you kind of look up to, you're not always impressed.
Yeah.
You're usually not impressed.
I mean, that's another one where it's like, geez, if I could do a redo, that'd be great too. You know what I mean? I think it was a great podcast.
I would like to talk to him about more stuff, different
Yes.
things. Yeah.
There was like, it's one of those things where as soon as you hang up the phone, it's like I
Should have.
I should have said this. I knew. I wish I.
And to be
said
fair,
this.
I could have him on 20 times. We could still have more to talk about.
Right, albums we didn't even mention.
Yeah.
that he had.
He's a legend. I mean, he's a legend. Right.
I mean, he's a Grammy award-winning producer.
Three-time
Three-time
award-winning
1,
producer.
2, 3 times.
And not even that, like, Grammy's a big, it is a big deal.
Still,
Like, if I won a
let's
fucking
say.
Grammy, like, this is amazing. But you know what I mean? Like, just the people he's worked with, man, it's crazy, right? So, like, to have him on, and I mean, that's what I went to school for. We did it, like, I remember we studied him in school even, and, like he did the Passion soundtrack and stuff like this. So, like, we studied that, and you know what I mean? Like, there's a few things that he's really well known for, like, that are, music history kind of things, that kind of stuff, right? So, super cool to have him on, and yeah, I mean, what do you say? What do you say about somebody like that?
Yeah.
Just incredible. Very thankful to have him on. That's where I'm at with that.
Absolutely.
Very
Legend.
thankful to have that dude on. That was so incredible. That
Legend,
was a highlight. Like when he said yes, wrote back and said yes, just send me the stuff you need or whatever. I was like, holy snap! Here we go. This is incredible. So that was sick.
Unreal.
Yeah. So that was cool. So check that one out. Episode 71. Pretty much a brand new episode. It's on YouTube. It's on Spotify. That's a full live episode. So then we get into a couple weeks ago. So then we're into meet our friend Hulk Caesar.
Hulk Caesar. That was a fun episode.
Yeah, that was a sick beatdown wrestling episode. Super fun. He's a wicked dude too. Same thing. Got his own podcast, Hulk Caesar Show. Another local Newfie kind of thing, right? So that was pretty cool. He's a legend, back home in St. John's. So that was pretty sick too.
Yeah, great at what he does.
Yeah.
He's great. Very, very knowledgeable and very well prepared. And he's
Super
great,
prepared.
great at what he does. Yeah, he's great. And it was a great guest to have on here. So
yeah, he was super fun. That was a super cool guest. And of course, that pretty much rounds out the year. We did our Christmas episode before this one kind of thing. Of course, rounds out the year. Just kind of took it easy this year. We didn't get too crazy. Chatted about our favorite.
It was a busy year. I mean, it was a lot of guests we had. Back to back bangers.
Yeah. So we're trying to stacked a few pods kind of thing so that we could kind of take it slightly easier at the end. We're pretty much rolling. We'll be filming right up until the 20th. So I mean, it's not that much time off, but we'll have a break here for a couple weeks, and then we'll get back rolling up the first week of January, kind of thing or whatever.
That's right.
And,
Steve Bays.
So yeah, we'll film that one next week. After compared to where we're filming this one.
Hot heat.
Hot heat. So that's going to be awesome. And like I said, that'll be kind of that'll come out in January. That'll be our first one in January.
That's right.
And then
New Year's banger.
New Year's starter banger. And then hopefully we'll have some. We're looking to get some local stuff rounded out here for January, first part of February kind of thing. So we'll have a couple episodes early January. It'll be us. We'll put out Steve Bays, and then it'll be us for probably a couple episodes or an episode or two. So we'll go over some stuff then, and so then we'll be back on the guest thing again. So we're looking to do some local stuff coming up then. So probably have Ryan G back, like we were talking about early January kind of thing, or middle of January kind of thing. And then we're looking to get some other people on, local people that we've kind of discussed. We haven't chatted with them yet, but we'll reach out. I would imagine they'll be on in the next couple months anyway. So there's that. But I also want to talk about, we're going to try to shoot a couple of kind of short video, short things, short docs kind of thing about some of the stuff that goes on around town. So we're hoping to connect. Well, we've already connected with them, I guess, but we're going to hope to put together a little kind of short film with Arjun and Ryan, maybe. Okay. So we're going to film some of the studio stuff that goes on around. So we've got a couple of studio visits lined up here coming up in the new year as well. So that'll be a YouTube piece that we'll put out. It'll be on Spotify as well, but it'll be kind of like, and it may, I don't know, maybe we won't. We kind of got to give the YouTube people
maybe
some premium content kind of thing, because we do full unedited versions always on Spotify. So it'll probably just turn up on as a YouTube only short or whatever, or a short film kind of thing. So that'll be cool. And we're going to try to do a couple of things like that coming up through the year maybe. And so look out for that.
I think bringing more video kind of behind the scenes footage of things, or
kind of just extended pieces or cuts from behind, like said, before and afters and stuff like that.
I mean, as well as the finished product, polished product of a whatever we're doing, a short kind of piece. I think YouTube is a great avenue for that creativity. So we can just keep putting shit out there,
pull off some more stuff, kind of thing. Pull off some stuff that we want to do, kind of thing. So it's going to be a cool avenue. So look out for that coming up in the new year here. Also, I'll self-promote my own thing, I guess. But kind of dropped the Tiny Head Man Productions moniker. So we're going to switch to I've started a little company kind of thing. So it'll be the Creator Company. So this will be part of that. So it's going to kind of encompass a bunch of little things kind of stuff. So hopefully you'll start to see kind of a collaboration with that to a certain degree, which will kind of entail us kind of seeing some local stuff, doing some things with local people. So we'll start doing that as well. And then, so if you're also looking for some advice or help, I'll be offering that service as well through Creator Company and a couple other things. So be on the lookout for that as well. I'm going to have that stuff on Instagram, and I'll have a little website and stuff here coming up in the new year. So so that's kind of like our kind of first step into being a professional big company kind of thing or whatever. But no, it'll just be kind of like an easy way to encompass all this. And then, that'll be something else that we'll be doing. So hopefully in a year from now, I'll be more or less doing stuff like this full time. So so look out for that kind of stuff as well. And like I say, will be presented by Creator Company going forward. And it's been a few, I guess we had it up now a couple times. I've had it on a few now. So
stay till the very end, and you'll
check it out. You'll see the logo at the very bitter end. But so look out for that stuff. Ryan, man, it's been a wicked year.
Yeah, great.
Super wicked
super
year.
Pumped, super happy, super looking forward to the next year, 2025, and big year, big 4-0 this year.
Yeah, so that'll be fun too. We have to do the 40th birthday show.
That's right.
We'll do 2.
Yeah. Fun.
Or we'll split the difference between mine and yours, and we'll do it on that day.
Yeah. That's what we'll do.
Yeah, so that'll be cool. But man, it's going to be a fun year. 2025 will be fun. It'll be interesting, and keep a lookout for everything, everybody. We'll be doing. You'll see it all pop up on our socials and stuff like that. What we're doing in that kind of context or whatever. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us on YouTube. Like I say, you'll find some premium content kind of there. You'll also find some stuff like all of our content basically are unedited versions of that on Spotify. You can watch us obviously on both of those channels. If you're looking to listen, follow us everywhere else. Apple, iHeartRadio, Google, Amazon, we're everywhere. Check us out. Worldwide. Still, Mr. Worldwide. Well, Ryan, my friend.
Mr. Worldwide over here.
We finished our beers. We finished our year.
That's right.
I think it's time to shut her down.
Time to roll on into the new year.
Roll on into the new year. So, everybody look out for the new stuff. Like, subscribe, follow us everywhere. Thank you for everything that you've done for us in the past year. 2024 has been friggin' awesome. To be fair, we crammed a lot of content, I think, into the last half of the year.
That's right.
I think so. So, hopefully we can cram a full year of content in next year. And it'll be twice as awesome.
Another 52 weeks.
Another 52 weeks to do it again.
That's right.
And who knows, maybe we'll throw down more than 1 week at some point.
That's
here.
right.
Who knows?
We'll throw in maybe a special one.
That's right. So everybody check us out. Thank you again. Happy New Year, everybody. Looking forward to great stuff coming up.
Love you.
Love you. See you in the new year.
See you in the new year. And the year was 1985.